The noise was deafening. A man stood on the edge of the balcony, staring down at the street below. His heart was pounding so loud it felt like it might burst out of his chest. The streets were crowded, but all he could hear was the ringing in his ears. His hands trembled, gripping the railing. Everything was slipping through his fingers, and he knew it. He could feel it in his bones. One wrong move, one slip, and it was all over. He could smell the city, the dust, the smoke, the sweat of thousands of people, all running scared. Nobody knew what was coming. No one could see the storm gathering, but he felt it in the pit of his stomach. It was like standing at the edge of a cliff, knowing you were about to fall, but unable to stop it. Then the phone rang. His hand jerked, and he nearly let go of the railing. A voice crackled on the line, desperate, frantic. "It's happening! We can't stop it!" "It's all coming down." He knew what that meant. The stock market had crashed. The money, the promises, the entire system. It was falling apart. But the worst part? He couldn't run from it. Not now. The collapse wasn't just going to wipe out his wealth. It was going to wipe out everything. The crash of 1929 wasn't just a number on a chart. It was a world crumbling. But it didn't have to be this way. How had it come to this? How had everything gone wrong? Let's rewind a little. Take a step back. It's the roaring 1920s. The world looks like it's on top of the game. People are rich. People are dreaming big. The economy is soaring, and everyone seems to think it will never end. It's a time when anything feels possible. If you have a little money, you can turn it into a lot. If you don't, you can still play the game by borrowing. The stock market is the game everyone's talking about. The idea is simple. Buy stock in a company. Watch it grow and sell it when you're ahead. But there's a twist. The stock market, like a house of cards, looks strong on the outside. But it's built on shaky ground. It's not just the people who own companies or the big investors who are playing anymore. Now, regular people who never knew a thing about business, are jumping in. They don't even have the money to buy. They're borrowing to buy more. It's like a game of Monopoly where everyone's cheating, using fake money. The problem is, the people in charge don't see the danger. They think this high-flying economy will last forever. The government doesn't step in to stop the madness. Leaders like President Herbert Hoover are busy trying to look good in front of the public. They think they have it all figured out. And the Federal Reserve? They're busy playing their own game, trying to keep the system stable. But no one's really paying attention to the cracks. You've got a few smart leaders who are nervous, but their voices get lost in the noise. The biggest players in the stock market, the ones who could have stopped the whole thing from spiraling, are blinded by greed. The excitement of making money fast makes them forget that there is such a thing as too much. They push the system to its limit, believing that if they can just keep it going a little longer, they'll make a fortune. And that's when the real danger starts. Because the higher the market climbs, the harder it's going to crash. It starts small, just a whisper in the wind. But no one listens. The market keeps climbing higher and higher. The rich get richer, the regular folks get hopeful, and everyone starts thinking they're invincible. The stock prices? They're unreal. Companies that aren't making any money are suddenly worth millions. It's a house of cards that gets taller and taller, but the foundation is cracked, and no one sees it. And then, in late October 1929, things begin to unravel. It starts with one tiny mistake. A few big investors, too bold for their own good, try to sell their stock. They think it's time to cash in. But when they try to sell, no one buys. That's the moment the house starts to sway. But then, everything changed. Panic spreads. The stock prices start to tumble. People are terrified. The ones who are borrowing money to buy stock are the first to get hit. They've borrowed too much, and now they don't have the money to pay it back. On October 24th, Black Thursday hits. The market plunges, losing billions of dollars in a single day. The phones start ringing off the hook at brokers' offices. People are trying to sell, but there's no one buying. It's like a stampede at the door, but there's no exit. The crash is no longer something happening to someone else. It's happening to everyone. He made a mistake that would cost him everything. One by one, the biggest banks start to falter. They had invested their clients' money in the stock market too. Now, they're facing collapse. The panic spreads like wildfire. By October 29th, Black Tuesday arrives. The market loses $12 billion in one day. To put that into perspective, it's more than the entire federal budget of the United States at the time. And the worst part? There's no one to stop it. The government doesn't know how to fix it. Hoover's promises of prosperity feel hollow, and people lose faith in everything they once believed in. Nobody saw what was coming next. The fall of the stock market sends shockwaves through the economy. Businesses close their doors. Banks go bankrupt. Unemployment rises as factories lay off workers. People are left with nothing. No job, no money, no hope. The crash doesn't just destroy wealth, it destroys lives. Families lose everything. In the middle of the worst years of the Great Depression, people line up for food at soup kitchens. They live in makeshift shantytowns called Hoovervilles, named after the president they blamed for not stopping the disaster. The American dream has been shattered, and the pieces are scattered across the country. The world is falling apart. The news is a blur of bad headlines. People screaming about lost savings, homes, and futures. The streets are filled with hopeless faces. Desperation hangs in the air, thick and heavy, like a storm about to break. The noise. People are shouting. They're desperate. They're trying to hold on, but it's slipping away. You can hear the cries of families, of businesses that are crumbling, of workers with no hope of pay. It's chaos everywhere. And then the banks start to fail. It's not just a few anymore, it's the whole system. People rush to the banks, but the doors are locked. The lines stretch for blocks, people begging for their money. But there is no money. The banks don't have it. They've invested it all in the market, and now it's gone. People scream at the bank tellers, demanding their savings back. But the tellers have no answers. They just stand there, shaking their heads. The sound of that hopeless silence, it cuts through everything. People standing in line, watching their dreams slip away. Their money turned to dust. The sound of the stock tickers is gone. The once bustling offices of brokers are empty. The great stock exchanges are like ghost towns. The ticker boards, which used to flash prices with hope and promise, now flash only loss. Every new number feels like a punch to the gut. Everything is crashing. The pressure on the system reaches a breaking point. The Federal Reserve steps in, but it's too late. They've tried to keep things stable, but the damage is done. The world is unraveling. And it's not just the rich who are losing, it's everyone. The Great Depression isn't some distant thing in history books. It's a reality, and it's hitting everyone. You can feel the weight of the moment. The country is on the edge of a cliff, and it is all because of one single event. A crash in a stock market that no one saw coming. It was the perfect storm of greed, overconfidence, and poor decisions. And now, the damage is permanent. The sound of the crash, it's deafening. The dust settles, but the scars remain. The country has been shaken to its core. People have lost their savings. The banks are in ruins. It takes years, many years, before the American economy starts to recover. People will remember the Great Depression as a time when everything they thought they knew about stability vanished. And the lesson? There's a fragile line between success and failure. The market, built on trust, can crumble when that trust is broken. And those who think they can cheat the system will eventually find themselves lost in it. The stock market crash of 1929 didn't just change the economy, it changed America. And the world would never look at money the same way again. The crash didn't just bring down the stock market, it brought down the dreams of millions. And the echoes of that day still ring through history, warning anyone who thinks the game can't end.